Before starting this course on career counseling, it is extremely important to understand why you should take your career choice seriously. In this video, we will help you understand the importance of making the right career choice for yourself. So, why is your career choice so important? It is important because it determines a lot of things in your life, including number 1, quality of life. Your career choice plays a huge role in deciding where you live, how flexible your life is, and the kinds of things you are able to do in your free time. Number 2, identity. Ask any elder person about their career and they will tell you about it as a part of their identity. They'll say something like, I am a journalist, instead of, I report news. Notice how everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And not, what do you want to do when you grow up? This shows that your career choice shapes your identity. Number 3, impact. Every human life touches thousands of other lives in so many different ways. If you select any 60-year-old person who is about to retire, take a time machine, find him as an infant, throw that infant into trash, and then come back to the present day, you'll find that a countless number of things around you have changed. So whatever career you choose, the world will be affected by it. Anything that determines your quality of life, your identity, and the impact that you make should be taken very seriously. And that includes your career choice also. So we hope that this short video could help you understand the importance of making the right career choice. Having done that, we will now move forward to start our career counseling course. We are pretty excited and we hope you are too. So, let's begin. See you.
Namaste everyone. Good evening and welcome to day 54 of ProBano's Daily Life Career Guidance podcast. It's an amazing experience as always to be conducting this podcast and we hope that we can touch 100 soon, and every day has been an amazing experience. So today we have with us Ritu Masand, whom we'll introduce first and then we'll surely listen to her journey very shortly. So I'll introduce her. Ritu Masand is an operations leader with 2 decades of experience in the IT-enabled industry. Her experience lies in building process delivery teams from inception and managing it end-to-end till BAU. She has received a lot of accolades for her contributions at work, both locally and globally, from the organizations that she has worked for. And she began her career as a clinical dietitian, which is one thing we'll surely touch upon. And she drove obesity clinics and training diabetic patients. Also, she trained hypertensive and cardiac patients. Her interests in management led her to explore the corporate sector and eventually mentor young graduates. She loves painting, cooking, and traveling to places that bear a historic importance and scenic beauty. She follows the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, who penned the Autobiography of a Yogi. Her quest for spiritualism also influenced her to pursue Reiki, which Mr. Sen is also very familiar with, and he always, practices that also. Tarot card reading and astrology. Ms. Masand is a versatile personality who believes no work is small. Moreover, one should be able to flex one's attitude and believe in changing times. So glad to have you with us, Ritu. And I really want to know that, from a dietitian to an IT operations leader, how did that happen? I think I can see Ritu's video being frozen. So are you there with us, Ritu? I think, yeah, we have minorly lost her. Mr. Sen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
good evening, everyone. Namaskar. And we are having Ritu today as our guest. And it's going to be a very interesting journey as we go forward. She's having some difficulties connecting in, but that's not a problem. So in the meantime, I think Aditya and me we're going to have a small chat. So Aditya, I mean, you read out Ritu's background,
Yeah.
which is very interesting and fascinating. From a nutritionist to an operations person, and at the same time exploring different aspects of things like Reiki and tarot reading, which are and astrology, which are quite removed and different from operations management.
Right.
And so that's going to be a very interesting talk that I'm looking forward to. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of takeaway for everybody around.
Absolutely, Mr. Sen. And there was one thing which I was discussing with you before starting this podcast. And we were discussing the theme of today, soft skills required in the future. And obviously, after COVID-19, maybe a few soft skills we'll be newly requiring, right? Something like very good tech, usage. So my father always keeps running to me these days, hey, how to do the Zoom call, how to edit out a brochure in Microsoft Word. So now this is some change that I think all of us are getting to see. Most of us are on either Zoom these days or Google Meet or whatever video calling software you like using. We are on video meetings. We are doing a lot of these lives. We are doing um, pre-recorded videos. Educationally, it's going a lot in that direction.
Uh,
Um,
I
yeah,
want to say something. You mentioned soft skills.
right,
I would prefer to call them power skills.
nice.
For
And
example,
why is that, Mr. Sen?
okay, we label communication as a soft skill,
Hmm.
but communication is extremely powerful. Communication, whether it's spoken, written, or even through video, is the medium through which you influence others to look at a point of view which is yours. So that's a powerful tool.
Hmm.
It's not a soft tool, you know. So
Hmm.
that's why I prefer to call it power skills. Building relationships, building teamworks. These are all powerful concepts.
Hmm.
And in a world which is running after money and top line and bottom line and profits and revenues, we forget how difficult it is to actually develop a team and to work as a team towards a common goal. And so that's why I want to call it power skills. It's powerful, actually.
True, it is very powerful. And I would like to discuss a small incident which always comes to my mind when I'm discussing soft skills or as you say, power skills. So when I was thinking, there's this one time I was approaching a client and we were doing a normal pricing discussion. So that always happens if you're doing something transactional. Now I was discussing price and I increased the price of something from 80 rupees to 120 rupees because of some, travel, some big travel involved and a lot of days the project was going on for. And we had to sustain. And the person is like, Aditya, आपने 50% प्राइस को बढ़ा दिया. So then I was thinking कि ये कौन सी मैथ्स हुई 80 rupees को अगर आप 120 rupees करते हो so you say you increased it by 40 rupees because those are very small numbers to play with. You never say that 50% आपने प्राइस बढ़ा दिया. So if I would have done it like 1000 rupees to 1500 rupees then that would have been a separate thing. So then that is हाँ कि आपने 50% बढ़ा दिया. But when you're talking about 1 rupee to 2 rupee increase then you never say that 100% आपने price बढ़ा दिया. Like I don't feel that is the right way to express this whole statement. So there's a saying, statistics hide more than they reveal if not presented in the right way.
And it is the biggest lie.
Yeah. So I was thinking that common sense perhaps is the biggest power skill that we can have right now. So sometimes we tend to, uh, bound, uh, come within the boundary of these things that we learn in theory, but we fail to understand when to apply them practically.
But do you know something, Aditya?
Hmm. Hmm.
You mentioned something, common sense.
Hmm.
Do you know that common sense is the most scarce commodity available on this earth? We have
Yep.
plenty of everything else, but common sense, we just seem to don't find it. It's so scarce. It's a
Hmm.
scarce commodity. And it's a human resource which is very scarce. Think about it. I think Ritu is back. And
Right.
she's back on a galaxy, I think. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Sorry about that. See, I went to the extraterrestrial area,
Yeah,
and then I had to take a galaxy to come back.
that's exciting. So she's the guardian of the galaxies. Okay, that's great. So now we were discussing soft skills, but which I call power skills. And now I leave it to Aditya to take it forward with you.
Surely. So I think we prematurely arrived at the discussion about soft skills, which we'll wait for again to arrive at. But before that, I think we'll discuss Ritu's journey. So Ritu, you were I was reading your profile and I just described it in front of the audience. Now you transformed from a dietitian to a corporate leader, to an
Mhm.
operations leader. How did that happen? Were you not happy with being a dietitian, or were you more happy with being in the IT industry?
Well, when I made that transformation, I did not know what the IT industry was. So it was more of going with the flow, with the times. And because when I was passing out 10th, and like every other child, I had my own dreams of going to serve humanity. And I wanted to be a doctor to begin with. And then when I realized how much you have to study and how many different certifications did you need to qualify to become a good doctor and competent doctor in the industry, I realized that was too much, and I would have spent half my life doing so. So when would I have the time to serve people? So I said, okay, let me do something which is related to healthcare, and somebody guided me to the path of something called a dietitian, and I was pretty pleased with it. And I got into the industry, and I was doing fabulously well. However, my dad was still working then, and I had to follow him everywhere that he had taken jobs at. And this was again one of those turning points in my life where I was brought back to Hyderabad after my high school studies, and I had chosen to do my PG in Delhi, and then I came back to Hyderabad, and I realized here that the healthcare industry was slowly picking up. I was doing my freelance counseling as a dietitian, and my patients were doing pretty well. And but somehow, being an ambitious child, a little restless, it was not me sitting on the chair and waiting for a patient to come. I wanted to do something more interactive with people. And this was by chance that my friend and neighbor, who was an MBA final year student, went through an interview round by a manpower consultant in her college, came for an advice to me, and she, when she cleared her interview, also proposed to me that I should also look at it. Well, it was strange because I thought, what will a dietitian do in a multinational company? And that too in a night shift. and, and I was really contemplating. And then I asked my parents, and they were quite encouraging. And they said, well, up to you. So that was the good part, that they gave me the choice. And I said, well, never mind, let's give the interviews. And interviews happened. They were pretty encouraging, and I got through. And once I got through, I never looked back. And that's how it just happened.
Right. And Ritu, so we discussed while reading your profile only, we touched upon a few points like, and I don't really want to have a huge kind of discussion point at this, but I still want to touch upon the topics and just for the audience's interest, and anybody in the audience who wants to comment on this, please do. We'll read out your comments as well. We touched upon astrology and tarot card reading. Now I'll take you back to an incident. Um, so see, personally talking, I'm not a big believer of astrology. Now, you might say that it is science, which again, we can have different beliefs about. So one of my earlier interns, when I just started off the company, he asked me, hey, why don't you include astrologer as a career option when you
Mhm.
talk from ProBano's angle? And I was very reluctant for it because I was like, see, it's not proven science. That was
Mhm.
my take on it.
Mhm.
I would like to know your and Mr. Sain's take on it, and the audience, your take on it.
All right. So, see, my take on it started pretty late on life on astrology as a science, because as I saw my parents, going with horoscopes here and there, wanting some advice, etc. And for me, it was more like, how do I know that the advice that has been given to me is reality or something which is mine and not somebody's making a fool of me? And that's how my interest started to know my own chart, because that's the best I could relate to it, and incidents in my life. And as everybody questions astrology, I was a rebel too. and I kind of questioned a lot of things and said, how could this be possible? Something that has got printed when you were born, but times change and planets move every minute in the galaxy. How do they decide your fate? And how does that have an effect on your mind? Like they say, the gravity has effect on magnetism of this earth, and so the Vastu science is also based on it. So, I mean, there was a lot that I questioned, and I've definitely been a very tell me why kind of a child, and and it was interesting. And as things started unfolding in my life, and I started relating to things to it, I figured out certain things were were things that were true, and this is only pertaining to my life. And then I certainly started studying other people, and I figured out that certain characteristic traits in a human being were not something that one could change. You can adapt to your environment, you can adapt to your society, you can adapt to your work. But some things which I call the manufacturing defect in yourself will continue to stay with you, and it'll sprout when you get that right environment, like they call the karma seed sprouts. And so I just take it from where I wanted in astrology. It is a science, pretty complex. Believe me, it's very, very complex. A lot of calculations involved, and it's a mathematical calculation. It is not something that you can pick up at a jiffy. So you may hear somebody tell you of a prediction very soon, and it's very personalized. So to generalize astrology um, is something that I would question.
And what's your take on it, Mr. Sen? Would you believe it's a science? Would you believe it's a pseudoscience? What do you say?
Uh, well, it's a subject where I will let it be, because I have dabbled in it. Not that I haven't, I have. But then people who become experts in it, they become experts in it. And so for me, I leave it at that. And there are people who follow it, people who believe it, people who take it up, and it's their life. So actually, I don't have any comments on it.
Right. So, guys, might be a controversial topic, but yes, every one of us has their own views on it. And it's almost like that, it's very personal to you. Obviously, your belief won't affect others, others' belief won't affect you. But it is always nice to have an opinion on it. And yeah, if you have any opinions on it, please express. Um, so, yeah, after that, I think, now coming to the main topic for the day, which is building power skills
Ah,
for the
yeah,
current times.
I like that power skills.
Yeah, see, I adapted. So adaptation is another power skill I think we'll be talking about today. So power skills that one can build, which are transferable to any job role, and power skills which one can build in these times, which can be really helpful. Starting with Ritu. Ritu, what do you think has changed? Like, if you feel that something is extra that we need to build, or there is something more we need to add to our profile after this situation, and what is it?
I think the number one thing is confidence. Don't let that go down. No matter what you write in your resume, when you face the interviewer, it's all about confidence. And you have to talk about yourself, be yourself. The market has definitely will fluctuate in terms of the need of the hour. As I say, today you see the pharmacy industry, healthcare industry, the FMCG industry is all up at the moment, IT industry, because these services are the need of the hour. And there are other industries like fashion industry, the tourism industry, the airline industry, which are currently on a pause. And these times are never steady. So life is long, the journey will be there, ups and downs will be there. So what you need to basically have is the right attitude and the mindset. When you go with confidence and talk about transferable skills, and that is the most important thing. What does it mean? It means what is it that you bring to the company that the company can use or make use of, and you could add value to the organization.
Mr. Sen, what have you got to say about that? That, the power skills we need to build right now, or according to the current situation, has anything changed, or do we have to build the same power skills you would have asked us to build maybe 6 months ago?
Okay. I first of all, I agree with what Ritu said. It's all about how well and how strongly you display the value that you bring to the table for the organization. Uh, I would add that along with it, we need to bring a certain skill of what I would say is building and valuing relationships. What do I mean by that? Corporates and companies, whether it be a PSU, whether it be a government, whether a government department, whether it be a software company, whether it be a car company, whatever it is, we seem to have lost the human centric touch, and we are just dealing with numbers. It seems that we are putting a number on everything. And like when we go to the office, we are employee number 358261. And that's the way it is. And I think we need to actually go back and realize that we are all humans. And as humans, we have a lot of emotions that have been sort of taken a beating in this fight with COVID. We don't know who had been affected. We don't know whose near and dear ones had been affected. So there's going to be a lot of human touch required. And that's where building and valuing relationships is very important. That's a skill we did not even think about when we were, before the COVID. Used to have this account manager. The relationship was all to do with numbers. The account manager means how much money can I get from this customer? How much more can I sell? I think it's going to go beyond that.
As Mr. Sen always says, we have to look at it from a beneficiary point of view than a customer point of view, or a beneficiary point of view rather than my worker or my employee point of view. Because even I believe in it, and how we have seen it is that, let's say there is a work from home atmosphere right now. Now, if somebody just decides not to work for you that day and says that, okay, you know what, my internet connection is bad. Now, how do you decide whether to empathize with him or her, or to, you know, think that it's, the person is lying? How do you know? So there's a certain trust that is very important with both the customers and the people, who are working with you, because these tech issues are bound to happen. There are a lot of logistical issues which are bound to take place, and we have to support each other, we have to empathize with each other, and we have to help each other out in whatever way possible to advance, because the internet connection at home is never going to be as good as the internet connection at office. The environment at home for working, according to me, and you can disagree with me, but it's never going to be as good as your environment at office for working, because at home you'll always have, so with me it always happens, you might hear a lot of vegetable sellers in my background in the morning, ये ले लो वो ले लो, और वो होता ही है, वो अपना काम करेंगे. So usme obviously there are a lot of distractions at home. And when all these logistical issues, tech issues are there, it's very important to support each other, to empathize with each other, and to be truthful to our service, whatever we are doing. At the same time, build trust in each other so that you always know that if, okay, this person is saying that he's sick, he's actually sick. If this person is saying that my internet is not working, it is actually not working, and vice versa. So yeah, trust is one of the bigger skills we should build. What else, Ritu? What else do you think about taking this forward? So trust is one skill, empathy is one skill. What other skills should be power skills should
She
be built?
mentioned confidence.
Confidence, yeah, confidence is one big one.
Yeah. Confidence is there. It's the mindset. And as Mr. Sen said, that human touch. Now, to virtually display human touch, especially when your video is not on, is a challenge by itself, because you're only kind of depending on your voice modulation. And that's where those who worked in voice processes or on call centers or in help desks and are trained to tune in and listen carefully and be able to draw the emotions from the voice and be able to display it in their voice and have a dialogue, a conversation, which is a two-way conversation, an interactive conversation where it is equally important to listen and empathize and accordingly respond. So, and that is the most important thing to do. So, I have realized in the last few days that the way I write back my emails has really changed. There is more human touch to it. There is more personalization to it. There is always the first line saying, "How are you? I hope you and your family are doing fine." And as Mr. Sen said, there were times that we would just, respond in one line. If somebody asked a question, here's the answer. So, so that is very, very important to display that human touch, build those relationships. You may do a number of certifications. There are plenty of courses that today are available, and those of the students who are doing online study, and even those professionals who have time, rather than watching, stuff on entertainment, do take out some time to either, if you are wanting to improve your communication skill, listen to some good YouTube TED Talks, or there are plenty of good professionals who are publishing the YouTube video online, which is absolutely free of cost. There are plenty of applications that help you practice your communication. You can record your voice on your phone and replay it and see how you sound in case you do not have anybody to do a role play with. So this is something that will help you improve your communication. And when you hear yourself again and again, you will figure out whether you really sound like a human or you're sounding like just another robot. Now, chatbots are available today, and a lot of companies. Like the other day, I called up my AC provider and said, "Hey, I have a complaint. It's not working." And the chatbot was just giving me scrolling up on my WhatsApp screen. Type 1 for this, type 2 for that, and give me the complaint, and we shall see. And definitely, that loss of human touch was felt, because earlier we would just call the customer care, talk to somebody, file our complaint, and we knew some engineer would call within 48 hours. Now you're just left to say, I don't know whether somebody will look into my complaint or not. So it's
That
very
that
important to give that human touch and that feeling of relationship to your customer, to client, your colleagues, your shareholders, when you belong to an organization. Over to you, Mr. Sen.
Yeah, thank you. That is actually very insightful. Like we end up with the IVR, and say press 1, press 2, press 3, press 4. Finally, it'll be press 0 if you want to talk to anyone. And then
Yeah.
when you press 0, it keeps on ringing and ringing and ringing, or you listen to some music, and it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and nobody comes on. And that becomes a bit difficult. It happens with healthcare and hospital as well. And I think there is a lot of scope for improvement there.
Right, right.
What other soft skill would you, or power skill, let's put it that way, would you say is going to be very important as we go into the new world?
Absolutely. So now
Ritu,
another.
can you keep your
Okay,
microphone?
am I better here? Sorry, it
Yeah,
just
you're
slips
much better.
down. Okay. So the other one is obviously, how do you look at your best in your own video? So we're all on virtual right now doing video calls. You're not very, excited at times because you just got up with a cup of coffee. Maybe you're just in your pajamas and t-shirt and you have to start your work, and you have a conference call. I mean, do you think you'll really sound like a professional in your night suit? Maybe not. So that's the first thing, is you have to tell yourself it's as good as the way you will do when you go to an office or you're going to your college or school. You get up at your right time, do all your essentials at the right time, and then you're ready for work. And that's what's very important, is to look professional. And when you're on video calls, you have to be yourself. And a lot of us do shy away from that because we've not done video calls before. And at times you do have technical errors. We're doing mic checking, and certain things are beyond your control, like what happened to us earlier. We did all the checking, everything else, and oops, I go into the galaxy. And that's, well, in India you do have challenges for electricity and internet. Your phone, mobile data may work. Some of us are using different channels to connect to the broadband, and that is very important. So if you think you sound very animated or you're not very sounding confident, look at your body language. Do a mirror test, and that's what all the artists do. And they look, you look at all the dramatists, all the actors, they all do their mirror test, and that's why they look and sound so natural. So this is also the time to build your the art of selling yourself.
That's great. Aditya, what's your take?
Sure. So I'm noting out each skill that you're mentioning, and I think at the end of it, we'll make a huge comment with all the skills mentioned, and we'll put it and pin it in the video so that everyone can have a look, add, subtract, disagree, agree to whatever we said. So, guys, one thing which I have a question about, and again, I would like to put it to the both of you, is that Ritu mentioned a human touch, which I was thinking about. And yes, human touch is still important. And why is it important? Because I'll tell you where is that question coming from. For the last 2 to 3 years, there's been this big discussion about machine learning and the machine revolution replacing our jobs. And it's a pretty legitimate fear or, prediction to make. Many people are on the other side of the table, like Elon Musk, who would say that, okay, machine learning is going to take all our jobs and there is nothing possibly a human can do that a machine cannot do better in some years. And when Elon Musk says that, he also says that machines can be creative, machines can have common sense, all these things. So whatever soft skills or power skills we mention, he feels, or people like him feel, that it can be replicated by the machines, or it can be even bettered by the machines. And when Elon Musk would say that, I would genuinely back his feeling, because this guy has done many things which were impossible. And even then, people disagreed with him initially, but then he did it. And on the other side, there are people like Jack Ma, and there was this huge debate between Jack Ma and Elon Musk also, who feel that human skills are still going to top it up, and the human skills are never going to be replaced. In these times, we are seeing that even though the machine is required, very much required, it's the human's ability to use them still. At least in India, there's no job being replaced by a machine. Yes, a lot of jobs have been laid off or have been temporarily put to a stop because the economy is at a halt. Now, what do you feel? Does the implications which machine learning was supposed to have initially, has that changed after this pandemic? Has the probability increased or has it decreased? What do you feel, Ritu?
Well, artificial intelligence and machine learning is something that a human mind has always been interested in, and there's several Harvard researches that are going on the neuroscience and how a human mind or human brain works, and that could be replicated in different areas of work. And robotics is something that you're seeing is being used in surgeries. It is being used in not only in different industries of healthcare and in manufacturing industry. You see a lot of robotics is being used, whether it is car manufacturing or or food manufacturing. This has been there for times, but I think the fundamental fact is there has to be somebody who needs to monitor these machines and make sure that it is running as per the algorithm or the formula or whatever code that you have put to its use. If there is something that is it's not behaving appropriately, there has to be somebody to fix it. So you will still need those software engineers who would be required to fix it. So like we say, if the production goes down or there is a production issue in a machine and there is disruption in the workflow, there has to be somebody to fix it. Yes, now the challenging fact is you have to be more intelligent than the machine because somebody made that machine. Yeah. So it can never replace a human being. However, humans need to continue to research and look at various aspects where they would want to use robotics and where they would not want to use robotics. And that is how I differentiate it. Our future skills are going to be different. It may not be the same typing skills or the copy paste jobs that we've been doing. It could be a little more analytical in nature. It could be a little more research oriented. It could be a little more advisory kind of roles where you're, different options. For example, in investment banking, as we call it today, a lot of us are doing, we have fund managers in the banks who advise you where you need to invest your money. And those will continue because that is something a machine cannot replace. What can assist a fund manager can be an intelligent tool. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about robotics in ATM. Today, they're talking about even going to an ATM is not free from contamination because you do not know who has pressed the buttons, who has touched the door of the ATM chamber, etc. So, can there be a voice recognition that when you speak up, and then automatically, without touching the buttons, it gives you the cash in a tray, and you just pick it up and go?
That's
So I
that's
hope.
a that's a very interesting take on artificial intelligence, and there I think there is going to be a boundary, and I think the boundary, the way I would put it, and I've read in many places, is there are two types of thinking. One is a higher order thinking, and one is a lower order thinking. So lower order thinking are those repetitive work that we do, and that I think can be automated or robotized, as you may call it. But the higher order thinking, the analysis, the the designing of a solution, and things like that would still be human centric. Most importantly, the biggest thing that will stay with the humans is what the humans do the best. And what do the humans do the best? The humans are best in dreaming and creativity, imagination. And that's what makes a human different from all the other species on this earth. And the ability to love, to have emotions, so that can never be given, and the machine will not be able to do it, I think. But yeah, lower order thinking, the machine can do, but the higher order thinking, especially these things of emotion, love, imagining, creativity, will stay. So that would mean that designing new solutions, designing new ways of living would go up the value chain. That's what I think.
So, guys, we had three interesting words that came to my mind. One was critical thinking and problem solving, which is what Ritu mentioned about, that a human ability to use the tools well. One was creativity, which both of you talked about, the human ability to imagine things. And I'm a strong believer of this, that humans have, so it's not my belief, actually, it's a fact that humans have this ability to solve problems which we did not have data for. For example, this COVID-19. We did not have data for this. There was, no idea we
Actually,
had
that's a
about.
very good point. I wonder where Elon Musk is today. We have got over 4 million cases. We have over 400,000 deaths. So where is this guy? I've not heard him say a word on COVID-19.
But he did shoot out a tweet which lowered the stakes of Tesla by a lot. His investors were like, "Arey, Elon, are you mad?"
Correct. Where it requires the most, where it is required the most, I think the machines will be incapable of handling it.
Yeah, actually, this COVID-19 has, even I was a big believer of machine learning replacing a lot of jobs much quicker. Now my belief has changed, and guys, it's a growing process. So it's not like I have to keep the same belief across. If we are learning and growing every day. So I actually was thinking that maybe 50 years down the line, a lot of the human jobs are going to be replaced. But now that I think this COVID-19, we have all the technology available, at this time, what medical health facility, is unknown to us. Still, a small virus has kept all of us at home.
I
I
mean,
think it's
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we cannot even put a statistical model in place
right.
to predict what's going to happen, what's the peak, what's flat, does it have to be flattened? I mean, all these terminologies are there. What do you think, Ritu?
Yeah, sure. And in fact, what comes to my mind is earlier, especially at workplace, when a lot of us required that work-life balance, and we would yearn to have a work from home, even for a day. And there were certain kinds of jobs where you were not allowed to work from home. And today, everybody is forced to work from home, whether you like it or not. I mean, that in those days, people would talk about, oh, customer data, risk, exposure, is our we doing different kinds of work, how will we manage it, how will we control the work hours. And today, yes, it's all about trust, the human touch. You have to trust the person saying he is doing what he's been doing, and you are keeping the person accountable. And it's an absolutely uncertain, unpredictable situation. Nobody knows when the return to office will happen, and does return to office will happen in the way you think you would be. And like, I am into the role of employee engagement. My whole job has revolved around bringing people together, celebration of success, doing things. Now my question is, will I ever be able to see them together? Today it's like, am I talking to my colleague at a 6 feet different distance, or will I still be doing Skype and Zoom calls? Just because we're sitting in two corners of the office. And the whole eerie feeling of, will life be ever be the same again? Picking up food from the cafeteria, bringing your own lunch, and is somebody offering you lunch, would you be really that free to go pick up lunch from each other's lunch boxes? uh, so there's a lot of questions on the mind, and there's a lot of contemplation in the industry as well. What are these big global in-house centers doing? How do we manage work? What about this? What about that? And there's a whole lot of debate. Every day the TV channel is showing the politicians um, argue over it, and there is no conclusion. There is no fixed answer. One day the status looks better, and you feel, oh my, the lockdown will be over in 10 days, and things will start getting better. And the other day you see a spike, and then everybody's saying, no, 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 we want the lockdown. We don't want it to go because we're better and safer at home. So it is quite a different situation, and I think our generation has never seen a pandemic like this. I'm sure the earlier generations, I've heard from my grandparents about cholera, plague, there's something called the Spanish flu, and they survived those times. But I mean, this is something like they say the enemy is absolutely unknown. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you don't know whether you have it or not.
And there are no boundaries.
Absolutely.
True.
And there's no treatment because you don't know what to treat on.
Yeah. So that brings me to the next point: is what are the other power skills that would be required in big doses? Is the skill to wander around without a destination,
Yeah.
to try out new things without the fear of being, you know, said, why are you doing this? It's not research. Research, you start with a statement. This is like open. It's like exploring. Let's go down this road. No, it's not working. Okay, let's go down the other road. Let's see which works. I think that's going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like, traveling to uncertain times. A lot of conversations that I've had on goal setting. Do you know where you want to go? Do you want to have a goal? And now is the times you say, do you really need a goal? Can you travel through times?
Exactly. Is what is it's the question of, do you want a what, which is what is a goal, or do you want a how you're going to live? I think that is a question that should be uppermost in all our minds. How are we going to live? The what becomes insignificant.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
So all new innovations, guys, comes out of experimentation, and experimentation happens when you have the ability or the uh, urge to explore new things. Because if you are already doing the done, then there is nothing new coming out.
And you
So
wander around.
absolutely.
That's the right word.
And during these times, I think it's very important to wander around a bit and find out the new, right? And with this, I think I have a really interesting few comments to address. Um, so, hello, Mrs. Kumkum Sen. Hello, Rituji. Rituji says zero gives zero results. And then she says, and this is the catch: human dreams and they are creative. Absolutely, Rituji. So, human dreams and our imagination is what gives rise to the new. and it's our ability to think of new things without any past data about them, which makes humans different, and which is something, if the machines achieve, I'm still not sure whether they will, but even if the machines achieve, that will take them a long time,
I
at
think,
least 50, 100 more years.
Aditya, you said something extremely significant. You said dreams do not link you to the past, it does not build on past data. That's important.
Yeah, and it's about thinking differently now. See, we've had the luxuries of life, and now life is bringing you back to the needs of life, not the desires. It's more of the basics. What do you need today? You need food, you have the clothing. You really don't have to buy different kinds of fashion clothing anymore, because all that is about is you need clothes, and decent clothes, food items. If you look at it, you need the staples more than your other peripheries that you usually tend to pick up. A lot of bakery items, a lot of sugar stuff, a lot of, and coming back to the basics in cooking of our grandma's days, where everything was being cooked at home. And just today, it's the need of the hour in terms of um, being as safe as possible. It's about, saying that get up and exercise, interiorize, meditate, to keep your mind calm and be able to face the world. So all these things are coming back to our roots, where our old school thought that everybody would say that, no, we are modern, we don't need this. So we're all coming back and reflecting to those basics, because today the biggest question is, if you have the immunity to fight the virus, you live. And resilience is being talked about, whether it's resilience of your body, whether it's resilience of your mind, whether it's resilience at your workplace to revive from where you left it at, and not get stressed about anything.
So, okay. So yeah, one question we have. I'm sorry, that was my ringtone. Suddenly it started ringing. So Mrs. Kumkum says interesting topic, and I think so. Anita ji, who's one of our audience members, has given us a very interesting kind of list of soft skills which she thinks is very important in these times. So she says strong immunity to be fit for work, optimism, staying calm, more organized, and more caring. So I think we have already discussed caring as like trust and empathy. We have discussed organization. We have discussed. Um, so we have not discussed immunity, but firstly, I would want to discuss something which is optimism. And we discussed about that, I think, 2 days ago in the podcast with Dr. Ananna. And I would like to re-bring this topic into the conversation. Do you think optimism is a skill or a feeling? And if it is a skill, how to build it?
Right? See, anything that comes with practice becomes a skill. That's the way I define it. And when you do it with feeling, it comes out to be more real. So you have to have your whole self when you're practicing something. Otherwise, you yourself are not going to be optimistic, and it will look very artificial. So there's no way you can motivate each other. And these are the times where it is very important that you also have to keep yourself pepped up in order to keep your family members pepped up, and those who are leading teams in the organizations pepped up, those who are caregivers at home to be pepped up, caregivers for the COVID-19 as well, the doctors, the nurses. Even you can just think it's so hard. It just becomes a word if it is not practiced well. When I say practice, is live it in your own life. Take smaller things and see what is your response. Is the first response, no, I can't do it, I'm giving up, I'm done. This is not the life I wanted to lead. Where the hell am I? What do I do? Or is the response like, okay, if this is what it is, I think I have an alternative. If I cannot do, this, I can at least do the other thing. For a simple example, like working ladies, we've always had domestic help at home, and whether working or non-working, every family had domestic help at home. Today everybody is doing their own chores. Some know how to cook, some don't know how to cook. There are individuals who are living by themselves and always had a cook, and today's cooking, cleaning, doing your stuff, plus doing your 9-hour job. It just gets on to you. How long will you be optimistic about things?
there are times that you will lose your emotional balance and you will snap either at yourself or at somebody at whom you're interacting with. But then the being optimistic will be that, all right, I do not know how to balance it today, but can I get better tomorrow? Can I? So, and then reason, like what I did. I reasoned out saying, why am I doing so many dishes in the day? Have I created work for myself? Yes, of course. Can't I have one glass of water that I can keep with myself and use the same glass through the day rather than, piling up 6 glasses in the day? And similarly, like, can we keep our cooking to the simple? We may not be able to cook every day. Yeah, we went a little in a different style as well. A lot of us experimented doing cooking for 3 days and keeping it in the freezer and then just reheating it and eating it every day. Well, people are trying new ways. If that works, that works. The expectation with family members and children to set is has become a norm. Having team meetings at home has become a norm, not just in offices, about just setting expectations with each other, that how much can you contribute to, as far as your household is concerned. Switching off from your mobile devices, or what we call the digital detox, has become essential on the weekend so that you can pay attention to your family, to yourself, recoup. Otherwise, most of us were um, so addicted to our devices, and now it's a choice, because you're already being so virtual from Monday to Friday if you're working, and and people are finding it new ways of promoting their career, their products. A lot of them are opening YouTube channels. The trainers and the workshops are doing a lot of webinars. A lot of information is floating around. That is so either you could take inspiration from them, but when the days are there that you are just not able to take it, it's okay. Just step back, rest and relax. Watch a comedy movie, play some games with your children or your elders, have a nice conversation with an old schoolmate or somebody that you haven't connected for long, and show that caring.
That's absolutely right. And Ritu, what you talked about is the how we choose to lead our lives. And I think that's going to be the defining or the definition of who we are. So who we are is going to be defined by how we are going to lead life, how we are going to do our work, how we are going to balance with everything else. All the other things that we used to take for granted. Because all this time, till the lockdown and this COVID thing happened, we were being defined by what we do, how much of sales target we have met, how much of money we have saved, how quickly I've come home from office. But now I think it's going to be, as you said, and you described it so beautifully, it's going to be about how we are living our lives, how we are spending time with each other, how we are interacting with each other at home and in the office. And mind you, this is very important, I think. Like before COVID, when we used to go to office, waking hours at home was a maximum of 2 to 3 hours a day, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
It's gone up 12 times. That is the difference.
Absolutely. And I think so. A lot of it has changed also. For how long that change will remain, I think for a bit of time, if not long. So at least I think we are into this for this year. At least this year, we'll have to adapt a lot to these changing times. The number of cases has gone up above 86,000 from last what I heard. Really, pardon me, guys, if it has gone further up. I'm not following the news a lot, but I'm just following it to the extent that okay, I'm at least updated with the recent numbers. So yeah, I heard that 86,000 cases in India. I think it's a huge number. um, our prayers and thoughts to all of those who have been affected. I'm very hopeful that everything will get back to fine soon. And with this, I think for the next 6 to 8 months, we'll have to adapt to these changes. So there are a lot of skills that we need to adapt, not only for the future, like in the long term, but also in the short term, which we are discussing today. Now, one thing which is a very interesting question in the comment section, and I want to address it at the risk of just having a bit of controversy back again. How would you look at this period and the way ahead from the perspective of astrology? North Node is aspecting Mars. Is a cure coming?
Who's that?
That's Mr. Abhijit Ghosh.
Okay. Ritu, your subject. No, Ritu, your mic is muted. Yeah.
Sorry. So I said I'm still a student of this subject. I can probably put this question to my guru who's teaching me. But what you look at it, these are all the times. So you see a lot of these transits that are happening. So if you look at the internet, there's a whole lot of it. On the 12th, one planet is going retrograde. On the 14th, another one is going retrograde. On the 10th, there was another one that went retrograde. And then they talked about 2 weeks ago, they were talking about as Venus is closest to the moon, and you could actually see it in the sky. And if you and those of you use an app called Star Walk, you could actually see the planets out there. And so if you look at it, what is nature trying to tell you? Nature is trying to tell you, heal yourself. We've had a very fast paced life. We have contributed to where we are today. This probably problem is not very natural. You keep hearing the news, they keep blaming China for everything. So even if you say that this was a man-made virus in the lab and then got contagious everywhere, it's about nature's trying to tell you, heal yourself. You've And how do I relate it to myself? I've been running a very fast paced life and always complain that I have no time for myself. I have no time to do my hobbies. I have no time to, meditate or exercise. Now, here is all the time. And am I making the best of my times, or I'm still making excuses? So that is where is the true reflection to say, astrology or no astrology. So if you look at your chart, you will get to know what is your manufacturing defect. How does your mind work? So is your mind tuned to thinking in a certain way? Like they always blame this is like, or let me bring a very interesting fact that every year they say is a year of a planet, and this year is the year of Rahu, and they say Rahu brings in temptation. And in Hindi the way they say कि ये अपने रास्ते से भटकाता है, आपको impulsive बनाता है, temptation देता है, but it is also helps you to dive deep into research. It takes you to places, it takes you international as well. So there are plus and minuses. Usually people will say retrogrades are not good, but what does retrograde mean? It means slowing down of your pace. And why do you need that? You may need it to heal yourself. You may need to introspect because you need that time for yourself. And that's how astrology connects to you in person.
Right.
That's beautifully put. That's beautifully put. As I said, I have some understanding, but then I leave it. Yes, Aditya, go ahead.
Sure, Mr. Sen. So I hope, Mr. Ghosh, you got your answer. And as Mr. Sen said, very beautifully explained. So, Ritu, what's your advice to people who are now thinking of building their career? Because there's a lot of uncertainty now. Anybody who's in class 12th has still a lot of examinations pending. Anybody who's in class 10th does not know when his 11th class is going to start. Anybody who is in the final year of college, they're really scared whether the job offers that they have got as a part of their placement process, whether that's going to stay there or not. People who are young professionals and have just started working, they are scared that, well, is my job off? Many of them have already started losing their jobs. This is a proper economical halt. What do we do according to you?
Well, fundamentals. So when I say fundamentals is if you ask the students of 10th, 11th, and 12th what you want to choose as your career, the younger generation, or rather today's generation, talks a lot about doing things, being entrepreneurs, doing things by themselves, doing things which are different from the others, and not following their parents or taking up normal subjects like engineering or finance or marketing or HR per se. They want to do something different, and they also want to explore and say, well, you don't have to be educated to do this. So coming back to that, and I'll make a comment there, careers were never dependent on books. Because ultimately, whatever we passed were when we get onto jobs, it is more on the job. So you have applied knowledge, and that is important. Well, it is important to pass your grades because there is a basic eligibility criteria. Like, to give an example, you need a visa to go to another country. So similarly, to get into doing your mind, as I say, what your mind is asking you to do, you need a visa. And that visa comes from passing your 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, right? But do not limit yourself to books. Your exams are at hall, but it is giving you more time to study the subject in deep. Because in school and colleges, we always had limited time. A teacher would teach you in a class only for half an hour, 45 minutes, give you homework, and you go. You spend so many long hours in school, come back, and you never had time to catch up with your study. And this is the time to catch up with your study. Go deep dive in subject. There's so much of information on the internet. Get that applied knowledge to the subject. Get a real sense of the subject, and you will be better professionals. Economy always goes ups and down. It's not just COVID-19. You've seen the recession of 2009. It was equally bad. People were losing jobs, but people also got jobs. It's the only difference is maybe the industry is changing, and get yourself upskilled. There are plenty of courses that are there on edX, Coursera, um, and many other. All the universities are offering online courses now. Join them, join them, and there are universities that are also there are promising jobs or affiliations with organizations, um, and that is there to look out for. So there's nothing to get scared about. Stop wondering, I would say, and focus on the actionables. If you are to pass class 10th and there are subjects that you don't like or you feared from, this is the time. Go deep in it, practice, take as much as knowledge. There's plenty of tutorials that are available online these days. There's so many professionals who are willing to come forward to help in various subjects and are not getting the opportunity because students don't reach out to them. So your media is there, it's open, it's online, and that the medium should not matter. And take advantage of it completely. You don't have to worry about jobs. Just keep in touch with what's going on, be aware of what's going on, and upskill yourselves and make yourself suitable. And then when you go in to talk about your transferable skills or the value you bring on the table, just be confident. Especially in
Absolutely,
the
guys.
early hiring, as we call it campus hiring, we more check for attitude than aptitude. Aptitude tests are taken just to get some basics right, and also in terms of shortlisting candidates, because there is a certain basic eligibility that we look for when we say, for example, good communication. What does that mean? Good verbal or good written communication? So when we talk about good written communications, how do we test that? We test that by giving you a test to see how many grammatical errors you make or your sentence construction is appropriate or not. Pretty much English as a language. You
Right.
Sorry, that was a phone call um, on my phone, and so I've already got the fan following calling me, like, looks like. So and and that's where it
Right.
is. Worry about things, dive deep into your subject, get full applied knowledge, and be aware of what's going on, and spend your time very focused as this time. These times will never come again, believe me, because when things open up, they will be very fast paced, and that's the time you should not feel that I am not suitable to this opportunity. Get ready for it.
Absolutely. I think that's a lot of insight coming in one small para. We have to adapt ourselves. We have to upskill ourselves. There's no good or bad time to learn, people. If you are a middle-aged person, if you are a young person, if you are even an old person, when I say old, just in terms of age. So otherwise, the age is just a number. So whatever your age is, whatever your industry is, I think it's a great time to upskill oneself. We have a lot more time with our devices. Anyway, we have to spend it on this because Zoom meetings are happening across offices, or Google Meet meetings, or whatever video calling software you prefer to use. But we are having these meetings anyway. The screen time is high. Spend time with your books, spend time with your courses, and spend time with podcasts, amazing podcasts like these. I'll take the liberty to praise our podcast a bit. And just upskill yourselves, stay optimistic. I think that's listed in one of the power skills that we have mentioned today. And hope for a better future. I think that's the best thing we can do. As Ritu said, and as we have experienced also, 2008 had a similar economical crisis, and we stepped out of it, and we were very comfortable. And so life, like this, journey across the years, is a series of ups and downs. There's no happy ending. There's no sad finish. It's always a series of ups and downs. So we had this recession in 2008, then we again went up, again a bit down. Maybe we'll again go further up, and that's the hope. So life, like this chronology of years, is a series of ups and downs, and there's no need to be bogged down by just a single down, because I think all of us are in it together. That's the good part. That no single one of us has faced a setback. It is a
Yeah.
humanity setback all across. And I think since we are all together, we'll come out of this much stronger and having learned a lot more just through the situation, even if we don't upskill ourselves. And if we do, we'll be very ready for our career in the future. So, guys, we have listed out 10 skills in the comment section which you need to build. I think, and I drew this conversation, across just to make sure that we can put them in words. So I'll just read out those skills so that you can, refer to that in the future. So, power skills, 10 top power skills that you should build in the future. One is definitely confidence, which Ritu mentioned quickly at the starting. Then second is trust and teamwork, because I think even across when we are working from homes, this teamwork will lead to a lot bigger things. And if you have trust in your team, then the teamwork will happen much more smoothly. Third is empathy, relating to each other, helping each other out, and understanding each other's problems, because there are going to be a lot of those in the coming times. Fourth is a human touch, which is very important, I think, in these days, because as we can clearly see, machine learning was supposed to replace our jobs very quickly, but we are seeing that the machines are assisting us more than threatening us right now. Fifth is optimism. Definitely, optimism is a big skill, is a big feeling to have right now, because if we are not optimistic, there's no hope for a better future. And who does not want a better future? Sixth is critical thinking and problem solving. Seventh is creativity, ability to imagine new things. Eighth is ability to explore new things. So when Mr. Sen says this, Mr. Sen would say wandering. Um, Ninth is communication, and 10th is leadership. So guys, do let me know in the comment section what you feel about it. I think it was a very amazing learning experience today we had with Ritu. Thank you so much, Ritu, for coming to our podcast and gracing this with your presence. I think it was an amazing learning experience. Are you muted?
Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to be here. And I realized I could add one more skill, which is called discipline. So if you're disciplined, you can manage your day very well.
I'll add that. Actually, I'll add that to the comment section. Yeah, here we go. I've added that. So guys, we have now 11 skills that we have to, kind of build across this timing. And it's an amazing time also to take this as an opportunity and innovate new things so that we never fall back into this situation again. Great learning for all of us. And we stand in our thoughts, in our prayers with all the people who have been affected by it with optimism for a better future. With this, thank you so much, Ritu, again for joining us. And thank you so much to the audience for amazing comments and questions and interaction. We always love to have you with us at 6 p.m. daily. This has become a habit now for us. So thank you so much, guys, everyone. Take care, stay safe, wash your hands, stay indoors, take care of your family, and keep learning, keep growing. See you tomorrow at same time, 6 p.m. rather, 6 p.m. at the same podcast. Like our page, follow our post notifications for more updates regarding the podcast and anything amazing that we have coming up for you. And the recorded version of this podcast will be there on the usual link that we keep sending out to you guys, so you can view it in the videos later on as well. You can refer it to other people. This is an amazing discussion. I think we can all learn from this. And with this hope, stay safe, take care again. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.
Thanks, Aditya. Bye. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.